Hello.
Okay, hi. Again, I'm Wei Qi. So today I'll be interviewing you on the topic about is early childhood education a sustainable career? So let me start by
Okay.
asking you, can you introduce yourself and your background in early childhood education?
Okay. Hi, I'm Emily, and I have graduated with a Bachelor of Education, specializing in early child education and minor in guidance of counseling from SAGI University. So, um, I have been in the education field for more than 7 years right now. Is my 7 year in teaching education, specializing in early childhood education.
Okay. So
Mm.
inspired you to become an early childhood educator?
Oh, what inspired me is it?
Yes.
I think mainly what inspired me is that out of so many things that I could actually venture in when I was younger, I think changing the lives of the next generation is what really makes me really contented and happy, especially when I see them um learning from something that they maybe they believe themselves they couldn't actually learn this thing to something to someone who believe in themselves that they can actually master and to learn a particular skill, that growth and improvement is what makes me inspired.
Okay, so in your
Mm.
opinion, why does this role matter or why is it important in today's world?
I think oftentimes many people say that, the younger generation, like the new generation, is the future of the country. But I do think that early childhood educators are the future of our country as well, because without good teachers, then we wouldn't have a good and impactful young generation. So I think, yeah, this industry is very, very, important from there to actually nurture and to improve from the early child education.
So in these few years of your early childhood education, what
Mm.
roles have you taken so far?
I have played in early child education. I have actually done my intern in one of the international school in PJ. So previously I played the role as an assistant teacher. And moving on, I have experience as a center manager to principal in an enrichment center called DMC, which focuses on kids' confidence building. So unlike academic, but it's more on enrichment classes for kids to actually go for after their classes.
Okay. So what do early childhood educators truly actually provide for the children that many people may not realize?
This is a very good question because I realized that a lot of people sometimes in Malaysia, when you tell them, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, I teach in kindergarten, they might think that, kindergarten teachers are just taking care of the kids' well-being, bringing them to toilet, making sure they eat. But I think a lot of the fundamental teaching, like even learning ABC, learning numbers, are very important. It can be done in a lot of way, teaching them independence through daily routines like that are small little tasks that maybe people might not think is important, but it is a very important foundation for their early stage, whether they are able to catch up at that stage of development. So all of these are actually taken into account in early childhood education. So I think this is something that many people might not know.
Okay, yes, I also
Mm.
agree. So how do you explain or describe the impact you have done to the children?
Mm, I would say that the impact currently, um, I think as a early child education, I'm not teaching in like preschool or kindergarten, but I chose to actually teach in another enrichment center that also focuses on kids since they are here to actually work on their confidence, and this is why I see in the actually young kids at the age of 4 say confident on certain aspects of what they are actually doing. But oh, hold on, Weiqi, are you lagging?
A bit, a bit.
Sorry, yeah.
Wait,
That is
wait. Okay, okay.
a bit, yeah. Okay, okay. As I was saying, okay, I think my biggest impact is that I have been communicating with the kids, teaching them the importance about confidence and speaking up, and at the same time, able to educate parents on the importance on building confidence as well. So it's not just the kids, but the involvement of the parent is what I have been contributing in the education field as well.
Okay. Now, can you share a moment or experience that reminded you why
Mm.
your work matters?
And I think one of the experience was that was when my one of my student actually graduated, and after they graduated, after a few years, they actually came back and told me that they wish to become a teacher as well. So they wish to follow the footstep from what I have actually nurtured when they were my students. So I think when it is a cycle where what I have done previously impacted them into someone who they want to continue this path, I think this is something really, really, really impactful because it is a positive cycle and they are willing to take up this role.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
what is the most rewarding part of being this educator?
I think the most rewarding part is that sometimes I find kids easier to communicate as compared to adults because because they are really fun to communicate with. So I think the most rewarding part is that whenever I see them coming to classes and then they share their they share their daily routines, their challenges. So they just communicate. I think sometimes the rewarding part is just being there and to listen to them and to just communicate with them. I think this is a very rewarding part.
Then, how about your biggest challenge you face?
I think the biggest challenge was that being an educator is not just like teaching the kids well, but it's also aligning the expectation with the parents. So when I first started out as a teacher, I find it really difficult to communicate with the parents. Like I have a fear because I would think that I'm still a child myself, but I have to communicate with an adult, a person that has another child. So the expectation, the alignment, the confidence when it comes to communicating with parents was something that I had to learn from experience and to overcome this fear of mine.
Which is like you speak about parents. So, how do parents usually respond to your role? Do you feel like appreciated
Hmm.
by them, or you feel like it's very chat? Like, what are the things about parents?
I think it depends on how well you carry yourself as a teacher or a principal because the more confident you are and the more observant you are in terms of describing the developmental progress of the child to the parents, I think they will have more trust to you as an educator as well. So I think so far my experience with parents, I feel like they do appreciate, but there are times where we need to take longer time to build the rapport with them, to communicate in order for them to feel that we care and from there they will appreciate us as well. So I think parents from my experience, they still feel appreciated. They appreciate the teachers around them.
So let's move on to
Mm,
the main topic, which is sustainability of the career. So do
yeah.
you think early childhood education is a sustainable career in terms of like emotion, financially, or even long term?
I think definitely sustainable. It is an important career, but whether it's sustainable for the Malaysians, I mean, there are certain challenges, but I wouldn't say that it's not sustainable because there are also a lot of private sectors when it comes to education that provides the not just the minimum wages, but it can really help an educator to grow emotionally and financially as well. There are a lot of schools doing that as well, but there are also majority of the schools in Malaysia who are just hitting the minimum standard and wages for a normal teacher. So Uh, towards the overall picture of sustainability, I think it's sustainable, but whether there are room for improvement, yes, definitely there are rooms for improvement in terms of the career progression of a teacher, especially in our government school. Mm,
Okay, so in your
yeah.
opinion, what are the main issues that affect the sustainability of this profession?
I think the biggest issue actually starts from the entire government sector. Okay, because recently I just went to Finland for an education tour, and I get to actually understand that the way they handle education is actually almost the same as how Malaysia has been adapting. Because if we know that actually Malaysia has been inspired by the Finnish education, and there are throughout this year they have been also adapting a lot of curriculum and methods into the Malaysia education system as well. But why is it that we can't actually change? Why is it that it's still almost the same? It's because that the main stakeholder, the main stakeholder who actually decides what curriculum, decides how the school runs, are maybe people not from the education field, are maybe from government sectors that are better in politic matters, but they are not actual professor or uh, PhD holders from education itself. So I think it starts from there. So when there are a group of people who knows what they are doing and who are expert in this education field, then they are able to think of a curriculum that can fit the entire nation better. So I think it starts from there. Instead of improving the curriculum on how it benefits the kid, but I think the curriculum for the teacher, the career development is also very important. That makes up why maybe teaching in Malaysia is not as sustainable, because we don't really prioritize in the teaching training part, but more on the students development. So it should be another way around.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the industry is also known as like very high turnover rates.
Yeah.
From your perspective, why do so many educators choose to actually leave this industry?
So I think it's a cycle. So when teacher they don't have the right teaching training, they enter to the school, and maybe the principal does not have the good teaching training, then hence it affects the teacher's progression in the school, and they would like to change to another school. So it is a very big cycle when the principal is not trained to handle teachers, when the teachers don't feel respected, yeah, then they would not want to actually continue. So I think a lot of times the prioritization of teacher training, not just teacher training, but the entire mindset and the societal shift in terms of teaching, of thinking teachers, whether it's a valuable job, career, I think this has to change. Just imagine if majority of our teachers, they are not just diploma holders, but they need to actually have a degree or a master in order to teach students. I think with that certain knowledge, um, teachers will be well respected in schools first, and parents would give them like the entire trust. And hence, when teacher have the trust from the parents and from the students, they wouldn't want to quit their job so easily. So it's a cycle.
Okay, then as we said about like the low pay, right? So can
Yeah.
this job actually support a stable and comfortable living, or and do you think like they're paid fairly for the work they've done?
I think whether stable or comfortable, it really depends on like what kind of lifestyle they are actually in. So they are, if in KL, if you're staying in KL, but that you are just in like a normal preschool, government preschool, a small preschool, I don't think it is sustainable. Maybe few years down the road, in terms of the living extra, you are just getting by. Like you can just, but that you wouldn't have enough saving. But of course, uh, as a government school teacher, you get a lot of different benefits from the government as well. This is something that it is really important that we should acknowledge. But whether it is it can sustain a good life, it really depends on the teacher's lifestyle. And of course, whether paid fairly, I think that mm, it could be slightly higher. It could be slightly higher, but of course, is the whole entire education field where if teachers are well respected and they are able to apply their skills better in the school, uh, and the curriculum is designed in such where, because right now a lot of teachers they have to not just teach but they have to create their own lesson plans, they have to update reports. So I think there are definitely ways that we can actually reduce the administration part of the teacher so that the teacher can really focus on delivering good quality classes. So I think if that can be reduced, actually, I think the pay is still okay for what they're actually doing. But it's just the workload is too much. Hence, we often think that their pay is not fair. So it's just that we need to adjust the workload accordingly, and the pay will do.
Okay.
Mm.
Experiencing burnout is a common issue in this field. Have you actually experienced any emotional burnout? If so, like why do you feel that or and how do you manage it?
There are times where I feel burnt, especially in the very uh the beginning of my career when I handle kids. I think the burnout was a little bit more severe, where sometimes, after my work I would cry. I would just cry and release because maybe sometimes I see that the child is improving, but the parents don't see it. So when the parents don't see and then they will question, then I'll feel like my effort is not being seen. So from there, I actually had to release or I have to share with my other fellow educators. And from there, I seek comfort. And then I understand that, I'm not alone in this journey. And it's important for me to also release and to share emotions like this. So right now, I have learned to look at things in a different perspective where I do understand that there would be parents who don't understand or need time to educate. So instead of me putting the blame on myself on why the parents don't see it, I would then find better ways to communicate. Because if I communicate this way to the parents and the parents can't understand, there must be a better way to communicate with the parents. So instead of thinking that it is all my problem, but I will find out what the best way to talk to the parents.
Okay. Now, in
Yeah,
we talk about like the diploma degree holders, right? So in
yeah,
Malaysia, actually both diploma and degree can also be educators, but there are also
yes.
different qualities of like diploma and degree. Where degree you learn more
Mm-hmm.
about knowledge, right? So do you think
Yes,
this difference in qualification can affect the quality of teaching and affect the students?
definitely. Definitely. But I do also come across a lot of teachers who have like just diploma, but they are really, really good experience and really good quality teacher. But I think it comes over time where they learn through their experiences, more on the practical experiences, and a lot of time they go for additional classes to improve their own knowledge as well. So to the certain extent, if we were to look at what many Malaysia university is offering for their diploma, I think that the knowledge is sufficient. Is sufficient. It's just that maybe the way of teaching the knowledge from majority of the early childhood educators, I mean the lecturers in the university, the knowledge is there. Even 10 years later, the knowledge will still be there, but the way of delivering the knowledge to young, passionate educators in university can be different. So, if you were to ask me whether the quality affects the quality of teaching, I think it does affect because the way they are inputting the knowledge and outputting it might not be the same. So hence, I'll stand firm to to what I've actually mentioned, I still think that in order to teach like or preschool, primary, they need to have at least a degree knowledge. But without practical skill is very important as well because there are so a lot of degree holders that might not be the best of the quality in terms of teaching. So it starts from the lecturer in the school, how well they can input the knowledge to students getting experience while they are actually in their diploma and degree time, and hence have more experience when it comes to them graduating and they are already ready into that workforce. So yeah, it should be a whole cycle like this.
Okay. So what are your
Mm.
thoughts about people without like formal qualification, no diploma or degree that venture into this field? So could this help or hurt the industry?
I think to a certain extent, if we are looking at the I think to a certain extent it will if they do not actually have any sort of training, if they do not have any training about early childhood education, I think that will actually affect. So because if I were to share my experience in DMC, many of the principals they do not actually have like, degree to train out a lot of confident student. But why is it so? It's because I think a lot of times the important not knowledge from 10 years ago, but current knowledge and trend, that what is it with trends and knowledge from time to time, it is sufficient. But when it comes to if they have no diploma or no degree venturing into normal academic like preschool or primary school, then I think it will to
Okay. Then do you feel that early childhood educators are undervalued in the society? Why or why not? Okay, tinggal mah.
um
Wait.
I think it's getting yeah, Tina, I think it's getting better. I think is better from time. I think as compared to 10 years ago, it's definitely better. Where if you were to tell people that, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, I'm an early child educator, I think it is not as undervalued anymore because um education in the younger, I mean, coming up, a lot of parents are from like the millennial age, slowly moving forward to um after a parent of the 90s. So a lot of them they value the importance of education because them growing up, maybe they do not have good experience with their teachers as well. So hence they value the importance of education. So I don't think it is really undervalued, but definitely there are always room for improvement on how we can better empower and to bring up the value of teachers. But I don't think it's very undervalued lah.
Okay, another question I thought of is like we talk
Mm,
about uh students without diploma, right? Most of them now in universities, also there are actually a
mm,
lot of people who wants like who takes teacher as a part-time also. So
yes.
is this like helpful and like because part-time also means that it can increase our turnover rates where they also leave very fast. So like
Mm.
what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, you mean like uni students
Yeah.
being part-time teachers? I
Mm-mm.
think I think it's good because as I mentioned, because the you mean for teachers who does not have
Yeah,
that is not
both.
venturing into education.
Yeah, if you can look at both law, if he got take, then he go part-time and the teachers
Mm.
will never take, yeah.
Okay, I think is as a part-time, a lot of times the question is whether hold on, yeah. The question is, does it affect the education?
And does it affect the education? Yeah.
Depending on what kind of depending I as I mentioned, I think it affects if let's say you are in a preschool or let's say a academic kind of school because they have like a set of curriculum you are teaching based on the student's stage of development and you are seeing them more than an hour in the school, you're dealing with them like 4 to 5 hours. So I think it affects if they do not actually have that qualification and knowledge in handling the kids if let's say they are part-timing in school. But a lot of times the part-timers are not like the main school, I mean main class teacher. So if they were just there to help out and to assist the teacher, I think it's fine. But if let's say the principal puts the responsibility solely on the teacher to teach the entire preschool class, then I think that is quite a big problem. But if they are just assistant teacher helping out and to improve their skill sets, I think that will do, and it wouldn't bring a very big impact to, I mean, affecting the early childhood education in Malaysia.
Okay, then what kind of
Mm.
support do educators like you need most right now?
Oh, I think what kind of support do I actually need? I think the support on um cross as in, because there are a lot of education competition going on in Malaysia, like my own preschool, my own school, my school is the best, this is my school. But if let's say all educators can actually gather together without the mindset on comparing, but with the mindset of learning from one another. Like I want a place where we can gather all educators and they are willing together together to share their ideas, to maybe can have like school visits from time to time of other school teachers visiting their school. I think that will be great. Maybe if let's say the government can initiate something like this, or even the government can initiate like school visits for students who are in degree or they're in their diploma, maybe they can visit different school. Like we learn about Montessori, we learn about play-based teaching. If let's say the school itself can bring us into schools that provide classes like that, it will bring us, it will bring the it will actually spark more motivation for the uni students to really understand what they are learning theoretically, and then practically they can see it and then they will feel excited to venture into this. So this is the support that I hope I can receive, not to myself, but to really uplift the education scene in Malaysia.
Very interesting. Okay, let's talk about the
Mm,
future then. With the rise of
mm,
like technology and AI, even like universities are also conducting online classes or even replacing lectures with AI videos. You
mm.
these technology and AI could affect early childhood education in the future? Will it be
Mm.
a or tool?
I think it's a tool if the teacher is well equipped with the knowledge on how to use AI. I think a lot of times we feel AI is a threat is because we ourselves we don't know how to use AI in education. So there are also situations where maybe the kids are even smarter than teacher to use AI. So I think it is not a threat, but there is also a fine line on what we can use it for and what not to use it for. Like for example, if I I think it really depends on the preference and the learning style because as you mentioned about AI video, AI classes, online classes, there will be students who can sustain themselves in such a learning model. Maybe they find it even more effective for them to learn. But majority of the students, even for uni students, they need that physical
Mhm.
interaction with teacher in order to learn better. So same goes to the early childhood. I mean the kids of the younger age. So I don't think it is a threat. It's just a tool. But most importantly, whether the teachers are well equipped with the knowledge to use these AI tools or not. So yeah, teacher education in AI.
Okay. How do you see early childhood education in Malaysia evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
in 5 to 10 years, I think it will somehow still remain the same. Uh, to me, I feel like definitely AI is one thing that will be in most of the classes where maybe one of the subject will be more on. I mean, we have been teaching technology like IT ever since they're young, but maybe the IT would change into more on the AI knowledge for the kids. So AI definitely would be there. And maybe 5 to 10 years, I think a lot of the things, whether the curriculum, I think it will still somehow be the same. It wouldn't have too big of a changes, but I in if you were to look at the government school kind of education, but I think the private sector would then have a lot of other new enrichment program for young kids to either build their confidence, their communication skills, their STEM skills, working on sciences and math. I think this is something that will still grow.
Okay, now what motivates you to stay in this field despite so many challenge?
And I think it's fun, it's rewarding, rewarding on certain senses where the there would always be new generations, and it's interesting to find out the differences of the generation from like Gen Z to Gen Alpha to now Gen Beta to see their change. So we are part of that change of generation, and we are part of seeing how they can grow and find ways to to teach them. There will be theory from 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, but the theory can evolve and to change according. So this is what I like about education. It's not fixed. It can always be changed.
Okay, what changes you would like to see in maybe policy, public perception, or school education system to make this more sustainable?
I hope that to see that maybe 5 to 10 years down the road, our curriculum can be somewhat the same as in because I mean, Malaysia is a very multicultural country. Hence, a lot of multi kind of education system as well. We have schools that focuses on IGCSE, focus on SPM, focus on UEC. So we have a lot. So hence, I think that is also a strength. But if let's say the policymaker can make it fix and to standardize from there, I think the education can only be changed because when there are too many varieties, then we cannot actually measure the effectiveness and to really work on one particular thing and to make it the best. Now we are just in a lot of ways on helping the kids, but I think if policymaker can make it into a very firm, fixed curriculum that everyone follows it and we improve from that, I think that would be, you know, one of the effective measures as well.
Okay, last one. Is there any
Mm.
message you would like to share with the public about education? Yeah.
Mm. I think the education field is actually really, really interesting. Uh, it's very interesting provided when we understand the theory and knowledge behind. So I wish that not just educators have such knowledge, but really a lot of parents or even common people not in the education field, we need to know this knowledge as well. We need to know why kids behave as this way. And I hope that, from social media or there are more educators who will advocate knowledge like this to the public so that the public will understand and they can treat, even if they're not teaching, they're able to treat people or the kids around them with such knowledge because the world, whoever we are talking to, we are also educating them. So everyone is an educator. So it's important to have this kind of knowledge too.
Okay, thank you so much for this
Yay!
interview.
Thank you
Yay.
so much. I hope it helps.
It will help. It will help.
Okay, okay, okay. But what is the subject of this?
Actually, I'm doing media writing, so they want us to choose like
Oh,
topic that like you really want to write about, and then like create.
oh,
Yeah.
Asian. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Got it, got it. Okay, all right.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks. See you soon.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye bye.
Bye, bye.